All right, so we're live, and if you're watching this on YouTube, then you're accustomed to this strange few seconds while we wait for people to join us, and the little counter at the bottom of my screen to tell me that people are there. But we can go ahead and try to get started here. Just a second. This is a strange part. This is the part I'm never sure about right now. So, well, and now I can hear us over there, so that's good. We've got a couple other people in the room with us tonight too. So let's go ahead and just get started. I think we probably got some people on. Yeah, we do. So my name is Johnny. I'm a believer. I struggle with alcoholism and codependency. With me tonight.
My name is Cheryl, and I'm a believer who struggles with codependency.
And
I'm John. I'm a believer who struggles with alcoholism.
All right, and we're so glad to have so many of you with us tonight. We're going to try to get to some of your questions tonight as well, but we do want to spend a few minutes talking about some of the really important things that are going on in our world. So while we do that, if you have any questions for us, go ahead and leave them in the comments. But also, we love it when you tell us where you're from and that kind of stuff as well, and make sure you say hello. And national team, if any of you are in the comments, would you just make sure that people know you're there as well? On the other side of the camera, we have Marnie and Nikki. Do you two want to say hello?
Hello.
And so they'll be here to help send us any of your questions. So with that, take it away, sir.
Well, we really couldn't think of many things to talk about except the virus. And it's kind of been the subject of just about every conversation this week. And it's been a tough week, I think, for all of us. If it hasn't, like we have a word for that, you're in denial. Because it truly has been a tough time. And none of us, the thing about it are the unknowns. And anytime there's an unknown, it turns into stress, and that turns into fear. And we can you watch the news, and that's all you see. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got a little bit of cure for that. Limit your time of watching the news. If you find yourself glued to the news for 2 hours at evening when you get home, don't do that. You can get it in 5 minutes as a nice recap. But find yourself something else to do. Read, spend time with your family, watch television. I don't care what you do, but not the news. You're not gonna change it. And I'm the kind of person that when years ago, if something like this happened, I was glued to the television. And that doesn't do any good. What we need to be glued to God. Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing is that when we don't understand something, when I don't understand something, and it's not a good thing, we have fear. And fear is a very real, we all have fears over different things. It's not you fear something, and well, all that says to me is that it would not be human not to fear what's going on, because the number one thing is it is serious. People are getting sick, people are dying from this. However, the number two thing is God is in control. And this is the biggest thing with fear. Number one is to admit it. Yeah, I have fear over this virus. I don't want anybody close to me to catch it. I don't want anybody I know to catch it. I don't want anybody I don't know to catch it. But the fact is, it is here. I'm not going to let it control me. I think that's the big thing. Yeah, it's going to change the way I do things for a while, and it's going to change the way you do things for a while. But don't let it control you. Give it to God. Now, that sounds really simple, doesn't it? I mean, you're going, hey, John, great. Well, let me tell you this. The way we give it to God is over and over and over again. And if you find yourself glued to the television, you find yourself you just can't get it out of your mind, pray. Pray. That's the first thing we can do is pray. And thank God for all the good things he's done and all the good things he's going to do. And this has been part of life for a long time. There's been a lot of different viruses and everything. This is not something that just started today. This is something that has been around, and can I explain it? I can't. But it is very true that if we go around watching it too much, not sharing it, the fear is going to win over. And I don't know about you, but I don't want it to. So I would do two things. 3 things, maybe 4 things. I'll make these up as we go along. Is number 1, if you have fear, and if you don't have fear, you should have fear.
Wow.
Okay. I'm giving you
feel
permission.
better.
We'll get to that in a second.
I'm giving you permission to have fear, but that fear does not have to control you. You can take that fear and you can lay it on God's feet, on Christ. Lay it on the cross. And Jesus died for all our fears. That doesn't make you a bad person if you have fear, because I'm telling you, the unknown I have fear over too, but I know who's in control. The other thing is, go to your Celebrate Recovery meetings. Share. This is not a time to isolate. Now, it is a time to isolate, and as far as what you're hearing from the virus, but at your meetings, make your circles a little bigger. Don't put chairs right together. Give yourself a little space. And there's ways we can handle this, but we can't do it alone. We need God, and we need others to come alongside of us. Because I tell you right now, if you've just been to a Celebrate Recovery meeting or going to one this tonight or this weekend or next week, and I pray you do, you're going to be somebody there is going to need you. They're going to need to hear God's strength through you. And with that, I'm going to be quiet for a while.
All right. Do you want to say anything before we kind of cover some things?
Well, as a codependent who likes order and control, of course, the chaos is just pushed on my buttons.
Right.
So I think, yes, I don't listen to the news all day. I don't stay on Instagram all day. I give myself a couple of minutes in the morning, afternoon, and at night to look at everything. Not too close to bedtime, because I don't want things to start worrying me. But this is where I'm so grateful for my recovery, because I know exactly that my buttons are getting pushed. I know where I'm getting triggered. I know I want control. And in an uncontrolled situation, I can't control it, but there are things I can do. I can pray. I called my accountability partner today. We talked. I've bought some of the things that they've suggested that we need. I feel like I've done what I can do in this situation when there's so little control. The isolating, the funny part about it is I think so many of us in recovery love to isolate until we're told to isolate, and now all of a sudden we don't want to. So that's why I say reach out. And then in particular, I think at Celebrate Recovery we're all about service, and that is a key even now, is to look around and see who can you help. Is there somebody that you've noticed that comes to Celebrate Recovery that's alone? Can you find out if they need help? Can you call them? Are they okay with food? Start looking at your church. Is there something that you guys can do or that we can do? I think we need to get out of ourselves a little bit during all this and focus on God, lots of prayer, think about other people, and stop thinking so much just about ourselves.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, one thing I'm going to mention, because I've seen it come up a few times, is about having online meetings. So, as you may know, many Celebrate Recoveries are having to shut down or pause on their meetings, at least for a week or two. It happened to us here at Saddleback.
Sure
it wasn't
First time in 30 years.
Yeah, it wasn't a decision that we had a choice in making. It was made for us that any meeting over 250 people is going to be just postponed for a while. Next week we've got some plans to kind of rectify that, but this week we were just told that we had to cancel our meetings. Like Pastor John said, it's the first time in almost 30 years that we've ever had to do that. I got to be honest, I'm not thrilled about it, right? We've kind of gone through this process the last couple of days, and we know that there are going to be people in our community who were counting on being here tonight who aren't going to have a place to go, and we know that there are new people every week who aren't going to be able to attend our CR. And so what does that mean? How do we take care of that? What do we do instead? So the question has been asked, is can we have online meetings? And the answer is unfortunately no. And that's not because we don't want you to have a safe place to go. It's because online meetings are not safe. That you can't tell who's in the meeting. If it's a forum, it can be anybody, even if it's on camera. Like I said earlier, on the other side of the camera are Nikki and Marnie, and you can't see them. And so even if you're doing a video conferencing with people in your group, you have no idea who's on the other side of it, and it's not safe. So what are some safe alternatives? Well, the first one Pastor John mentioned is when you do get to have groups, make the circle a little wider. So they're saying that we need to have a social distance. I'm not even sure what that means, but it just means probably don't get all up in each other's business. Now, at Celebrate Recovery, we're huggers a lot of the time, so you might want to just postpone that for a while, give fist bumps.
This is the new official Celebrate Recovery greeting.
There we go.
Or not even have to touch.
Yeah, and so there's that. In the meantime, like tonight, what we're suggesting the folks at our Celebrate Recovery do, and I put this on our Instagram page and on Facebook and things as well, is call your sponsor. The reason we preach this idea of having accountability partners and sponsors is just for this kind of night, just for this kind of situation. Maybe it's not a national emergency that shuts down Celebrate Recovery. Maybe it's a home emergency. Maybe it's a car emergency. Maybe it's a who knows what. But if you can't get to your meeting, call your accountability partners. Call your sponsor. Check in with them and spend time on the phone with them. Go get coffee together this weekend. Don't just say, well, I couldn't go to Celebrate Recovery, so I guess that means relapse, right? No, there are tools that you can use in the meantime. Now, I'm in no way trying to belittle the importance of a meeting because I know how important they are. But you have tools. There are things that you can do. Like I said, your sponsor and accountability partner are key relationships. So if you haven't checked in with them for a while, make this a great time to reconnect. If you think, man, I don't really know that many people in my Celebrate Recovery meeting, reach out and say, I need to connect with people. If you are reached out to, make the effort to connect with someone as they call you and check in with you or text you. Because, like I said, right now, our Celebrate Recovery, we can't meet tonight. We've got signs on our campus saying there's no Celebrate Recovery. We've got leaders here that are going to try to meet with people as cars pull in because we know as much as we've tried to get the word out, people aren't going to have heard. So, but to your point, it actually creates service opportunities for us while we're in this. Mm-hmm. One more thing I want to say before I throw it back to you is that I think as much as there are people who are afraid, there's a counter reaction, which is to kind of go, this is so stupid. Mm-hmm. And I got to be honest, it's kind of where I've been, right? I'm a little bit more on the fear side today than I was a couple of days ago, but I've kind of been a little bit like, oh man, this is so dumb. The flu kills this many people. This happens, this happens, this happens. Here's the deal. I'm not a coronavirus expert. Nobody in our church is a coronavirus expert. Nobody watching this probably, I can say, is a coronavirus expert, which means we kind of have to trust the people who are giving us the...
Huge point.
We need to trust what they're telling us.
Right.
So although I'm not in any of the affected groups that has to be really nervous about it, I have friends and family members who are. And so the responsible thing to do is limit my exposure so that I don't spread it to people who could be more affected by it.
Right.
Now, do I think it's the blown up thing that it is? I don't know. Not sure yet. But I'm not, it's way out of my pay grade to make that decision. When the government and people that I trust and doctors are saying these things, even if we don't really think it's that big of a deal, kind of the loving thing to do is do it anyway.
And I think a point is that we didn't close Celebrate Recovery tonight out of fear. Mm-hmm. We are submitting to authority, first of all. Right. And secondly, we're giving ourselves time to do this the right way. Right. We want to take a pause, figure out the right thing to do. We were just talking about a different way of disinfecting that we would not have thought about tonight. We wouldn't have gone into it with those kinds of decisions. So I think this pause is not because we're afraid. It's more because we're just doing the responsible right thing. I think it would have been irresponsible to act as though nothing was going on. Yeah. And so we needed to take a step and show people that we care about them. Yeah. If we just let everybody, and it breaks our heart, there were some people that called today and that really needed this meeting, and we know that. But again, now are we going to be a little firmer and stronger about encouraging accountability partners? I think we are. We're always not sure about telephone numbers. Maybe from this point on, we'll be a little bit more open about asking for phone numbers, just in case something like this happens again. So I think we can learn from this to even get better. But more importantly, I think we're not the Celebrate Recoveries that are not meeting tonight are not because they're just so scared. Right. They're just trying to do the responsible right thing and figure out what to do, hopefully, by next week.
Yep. Yep. You know, one of the things as you're talking, both of you, is what I love is that Celebrate Recovery, and I think I said this already, is going to be 30 years old. Mm-hmm. And this is the first night we had to do this. And that's really amazing. You know, God has taken care of us. And when Cheryl and I founded Celebrate Recovery, one of the major things was we wanted to make this a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
And Celebrate Recovery, that's why we have the guidelines, that's why we have all those things that, you know, might bug you a little bit, but it's a safe place.
Absolutely.
And so it's going to stay that way, because without it, let me put it this way. Celebrate Recoveries that don't make it, number one is they don't enforce the guidelines, and therefore they aren't safe. So one of the things that we are going to do, let me put this as a pastor. If we went ahead and rushed Celebrate Recovery tonight and really didn't have just what we've talked about just in the last couple of days, and it's going to take a while to get this all in place. It will be in place next week.
Mm-hmm.
But if we would have rushed it, and one person who came to Celebrate Recovery caught the virus and maybe died, I'd have a lot of trouble living with that. And I know you would too. Right. And so you need, sometimes it takes, to do things the right way, it takes a little bit of time. Yeah. And I've learned that over a lot of years. I was one of these, oh, let's go do it, you know. But I think really what has paid off for Celebrate Recovery is it has been and always will be a safe place.
You know, what's funny is last week I did this by myself, and I said, hey, we're not changing anything, right? We were going to go on the road, we were going to do all these things, and it's almost as soon as I said it, we had things change. So, and some of it was our call, some of it wasn't our call, and some of it was mutual between where we're going and between us. And so we had 3 one-days in March that we've had to postpone. And so we haven't canceled them. We have new dates at all 3 churches. So our DC one day is still going to happen. It's just going to be in October on the 3rd. So if you've already registered for the DC one day, ticket still applies. Lansing is going to be moved to October 24th. They're over there. That's why I keep looking over there in case you wonder what I'm doing.
Right, no,
and Seattle's going to be on November 7th. Now again, when all this started happening, you two said to me, are you sure you want to go? Because you two are still kind of going through other things. So I said, I'm going to every one of these things. I got to tell you, I'm real glad I'm not going.
Me too.
I'm real glad I'm not getting on airplanes, and we're not going to pull 1,000 people at each one of these locations and do all the things that we're doing in the midst of everything that's happening. It doesn't feel responsible. I love these one days, and there's a part of me that's really sad. There's a part of me that's really torn as I kind of look at, you know, the flights that I've had to cancel and the rooms that we've had to cancel and all those things. I'm sad that I'm not going, but at the same time, man, I was at the grocery store today and somebody coughed and we all just ran out of the aisle. So, you know, there's just so many things that go in with that. And so, again, I do think there are people that are going to be afraid, they're going to be worried, their anxiety level is going to go up. There's going to be an inverse response of sort of like, this is so dumb and I'm not going to let it change my life. And I think that there's a healthy medium in there somewhere where you kind of say, look, I'm going to wash my hands a little bit more than I normally do, but I'm not going to scrub myself to where I'm bleeding, right? I'm going to make sure that I avoid some of these things, but if I need to go out, I'm going to go out and some of those things. So as things are paused, we just got notice that our school district shut down the schools for a couple of weeks. I think we may be the last school district in America to do it.
I think you were.
They finally did it. And, you know, look, my kids are going to be home for 2 extra weeks, you know, and so, you know, all of these things are part of it. If you're somebody who battles anxiety like I do, I want to encourage you. I just put up on our YouTube channel a video about choosing prayer over worry. And it's a short 4-minute video, something that I think would help, hopefully. And if you know people, you could share that with them as well.
And we're going to try to start posting more on YouTube videos so that you can get some encouragement to get you through these times when you're feeling scared.
How do they find us on that?
So if you go to YouTube, you can go to Celebrate Recovery Official on YouTube. We'll put a link in the comments here below as well, and it actually, if you go to our Instagram page, Celebrate Recovery Official on Instagram, there's a link in our bio there.
I would suggest too that we get our prayer journals out again, and we start thinking about the people that we need to pray about specifically and that we need to reach out to. And I think we really need to focus on gratitude right now. Like all day today, as I was thinking about the fear component with this, I also was so grateful for the recovery that I have gotten, so I didn't feel like I was spinning out of control. So that the gratitude, I think, also helps push away the fear, and always gratitude makes me want to pray more.
Yeah.
And thank God for all the things I've got.
Well, I think what that does too is if we're praying more, we're journaling, we're reading our Bible, what we're doing is we're focusing on the truth.
Right.
So when I go to Instagram or I go to Twitter, or I go to the news, I'm sometimes hearing rumor, I'm sometimes hearing, guessing and people giving me their best insight. But a lot of it's just going to be fear.
Right.
Because there's money in that, right? There's
Yes.
the whole idea that if you stir up fear in the whole thing. So when I instead decide to go to the Word, when I go to other people who are following the same path I'm following, when I'm journaling and I'm praying, I'm actually living in truth instead.
Right.
And so the antidote for fear is truth.
Right.
And I think that that's one thing that we can continue to do for each other when we start to worry. Say, have you prayed about that yet?
Yep.
And then to tell each other the truth. It really is a good experience or a good opportunity for those of us who are Christ followers to be the light and the salt that Jesus says we are. It gives us the opportunity to spread hope and to spread good news and to love and serve, like you were
Right,
saying. It gives us a chance to put not just our recovery, but our faith into practice.
Absolutely.
And so I think, I encourage you to do that as well, is to look for ways to be the light and to be salty and to be hope bringers to other people.
Absolutely.
And
Yep,
tell
I agree.
people about why, hey, this is why I'm not spinning out of control. I'm doing the
Right.
things I'm supposed to do. I've got
Right.
some stuff that I need to do. I'm not going places that are dangerous for me, but at the same time, here's why I'm smiling today, and here's
Right.
why I'm hopeful today.
Right.
Cheryl, today we were talking about Principle 8 and Step 12.
Right.
And really one of the big antidotes to fear, the big antidotes to worry, is service
Absolutely.
and giving back. So if you find yourself, if you think you shouldn't be that close to people physically, and you have some concerns, there's still things you can do. Matter of fact, at Saddleback, we're going to start a care team that's going to call the whole church in the next week or two, just to see how they're doing, just to pray with them.
Yeah.
Also, we're going to start, we have a food pantry, and if people need food, we're going to deliver food to their house. Now, are we going to come in and have lunch with them? Probably not. 'Cause
Right.
This is, you got to be smart too. But just the fact of showing up, talking to them, giving them some food, and the neighbor might be that person that needs it, and you never know that neighbor might be right on that fence to go to church and to accept Christ. So service to me is the best way to get out of a bad place.
And who's more enthusiastic about serving than Celebrate Recovery people?
Right.
You can't
Right.
stop them.
No.
Yeah.
So that is another way of getting people out, stop thinking about themselves, getting out and doing some things that are really good
Yeah.
through the church,
Yeah.
if possible.
Again, as somebody who struggles with anxiety, and this is what the video I put on YouTube is about today, when people just say don't worry, that doesn't help me,
Right.
And so I think service is an antidote to that. But another one that the Bible tells us clearly is prayer. It says don't worry about anything, but instead pray about everything. And so that's I think a huge part of it, is every time I start to worry, instead of saying what's the world what are we going to do, is to just say, God, this scares me. This makes me worry, and this is why I'm worried about it. Here's what I'd like to see you accomplish. And I think a great prayer for us is the Serenity Prayer. We talk about that. We pray the Serenity Prayer at the end of every large group. And I think for some of us it can become kind of like a thing we do, a tradition.
Right.
But to really stop this next few days and really pray through the Serenity Prayer, I think is a powerful tool. It's something that we know. If not, it's in all of our material, and you can find it really easily online. But something just to pray through, and instead
Line
of just
by line.
instead of just
Really
saying,
think about that.
grant me the serenity to say, okay, well, God, what would peace look like for me?
Right.
Accept the
Yes.
thing I cannot change. Man, what are some things I can't change?
Pretty many right
And
now.
how do I and help me work on accepting that, right? And
Right,
to go
right.
through it that way. So I just want to encourage you to do that as well. So Marnie, are there any questions that have come through that we can answer?
Yeah, so just to be clear, it's up to the church to cancel their
Yes,
recovery.
great input, Marnie. Yes, so it's up to each individual church on whether or not they're going to cancel or postpone their Celebrate Recovery meeting. And there's no judgment against anyone that does or doesn't do that. But if you're saying, wait, it's postponed, if your church is saying we're still going to meet, then go to your meeting. If it's saying we're going to pause, then just wait and see what happens.
And
Yeah, great.
Next week we're going to be back.
Yep.
But this was an important week. we weren't quite ready for this.
Right.
To do it.
And when you say we're going to be back, it's going to look different than it normally does.
it
We're
really
going to meet
will.
in a couple different rooms because
gonna
we
be
have more
safe
than
again.
250, and
Two bands
and
and-
so it's going to take a lot to pull off. So if you're in a group that is saying, hey, well, there's 100 of us or there's 30 of us, we don't need to stop, then great. And that's where I think Pastor John was saying, maybe just give each other a little more space in your
Think about
circle,
it.
right? Spread out a little bit.
Think about what changes you can make at your store to keep it safe.
Yep. Okay, what else?
We have some people online that were ready to go to these upcoming one days. They are grateful for you guys canceling, so I just wanted to let you know.
That's
that's
nice to hear.
positive.
Awesome.
It was a hard
not,
decision.
That was not just made in haste.
Right.
I mean, it was. We knew it was the right thing to do, but it still was hard to do. And I thank you for understanding that.
Yeah.
Some people are asking about the April one days. I mean,
So as of right now, those are on track, and we're going to move forward in faith that they're going to stay on track. And again, just like we did with these, if the government and CDC and other people decide to tell us that we need to postpone them, but summits and April 1 days and going forward, all of those are on track, ready to go. Yep.
I would say keep watch. As soon as we know, and it's going to be probably within the next week, what we're going to do with April.
Yeah.
And so we're going to give you plenty of time there. But the summit we are going to do, the summit's name this year is Joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, come July and August, we are all going to be ready to celebrate with some joy. And so we're going to do everything we can to have the summits, because it's just, we've been doing this since 2000.
1999, I think, was our first summit, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, but we also did it. We did it the weekend after 9/11.
Yeah.
And we did it in Baltimore. And we thought this will never work. And almost 300 people came. So this is, it's not that we're afraid to go, but we want to go where you're safe, where we know a little bit more. We got to get this flying stuff, make sure everything's safe there. But when we start up again, we want to do it as bad as you want to come.
Yeah. So I said I'm not a coronavirus expert, and I'm going to stick to that. But I will say I think a lot of the pauses that we're having right now and shutting things down is so we can get a real picture of what's happening. And so I do think by April we'll have a way. I think the fear will be gone. I think the stress will be gone. I think we'll know truth versus fear, and we'll know what we're going to be able to do. But we're moving forward as though we're going to be there in April.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What else, Marnie?
Okay. I have a couple of questions coming out, but here's an important one for Celebrate Recoveries that are new, a year and younger. What if they don't have a pocket of accountability partners and sponsors? What would you suggest for them?
I would suggest that as leaders, you reach out to all of the people who are in your group. So men with men, women with women. And you would say, hey, we're brand new. You probably don't have a lot of time to have sponsors and accountability partners yet. So as the leader of your open share group, or as the leader of the step study, or even just as the male leader at this CR, I want to get a phone tree together. I want to get us on, so would you like to be a part of that? Yes or no? And then if so, then put them all together on a group text or something and say, hey, this is the men of Celebrate Recovery. This is the women of Celebrate Recovery, and begin that. And I also just want to just send this home as much as possible. You can have accountability partners who aren't a part of Celebrate Recovery. They can be church members. They can be friends. What I'm saying is you got to get with safe people. So if it's just within Celebrate Recovery, great. People who understand what we do, why we do it. But I called 3 of my friends today that I haven't called in a while that aren't part of Celebrate Recovery. Yes, I do talk to people who aren't a part of Celebrate Recovery. And I just said, hey man, what's going on, right? Like pretended like I wasn't calling them because I needed anything, because I just wanted to connect with them. So as somebody who, like you said, likes to isolate, I've got to do things to push against that. So if you have a newer Celebrate Recovery, that's what I would do. What are some ideas?
Well, it's funny because I've always been a little bit opposed to giving phone numbers at Celebrate Recovery to help people not get a phone call and have their family know about the phone call. But maybe we need to rethink that. Yeah. Maybe this is a time to start trying to get phone calls so we can communicate better and more effectively. So if you were new, I would say I would do everything in my power to try to start collecting phone calls.
Yeah,
phone
and we
numbers.
do phone trees in our groups.
Yeah,
like that, so.
yeah.
And
but in our open share groups?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me tell you very quickly how that started. I didn't know a lot about Celebrate Recovery when God gave us the vision. But one of the things I did, one of the mistakes I made, but it was kind of interesting, when Celebrate Recovery first started, Saddleback Church was running about 6,000 people. and I said, I want to be available for anybody who needs help. I put our home phone number in the church bulletin and said, call anytime, and they did.
Sure did.
And
boy howdy.
Yeah, so that was, you know.
And they would now, too.
It was, I missed those phone calls, but not, you know, I'm getting a little older now.
I don't miss those phone calls. They were at 3 o'clock in the morning most of the time. Yeah, I think too, you know, there have been some questions about emails and texting. However you can connect, just to what, you know, what, however you can do that. So, you know, I think that what you want to do is just try to get people connected. So whether that's an email that goes out, or whether that's you know, contacting your state rep and asking them for some help in that area as well, but just kind of get creative with how you do that. I think this is a great time to say, hey, why don't you and I get a cup of coffee, and just one-on-one, go to a Starbucks, go to a coffee shop, get a cup of coffee, so you get out of the house, and maybe sit outside if you can. It's raining here right now, so we can't sit outside. Everything's terrible. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that's some good stuff. What else, Marnie?
So if there are new churches, can they reach out to a community church, and then also can they call their state reps to see who's in their area? Yeah,
your state rep is a valuable resource for you for anything that you need, and may be able to connect you with other churches that have just started as well, as a way to kind of build some of that accountability as well.
Over 290 state reps that are volunteers that are here to help you. And if you want to find them, go to our website, celebraterecovery.com. Look under state reps there. You'll find their information. Go to our app, Celebrate Recovery. It's free, and you'll find the state reps, and you'll find a lot of information that you need on that. So the help is there. Use it. They're waiting for you. Again, it doesn't cost a penny.
Yeah, somebody just brought this up, and I think it's really, it bears a little bit of going through. Somebody just said, wait, so online meetings are against anonymity, but texting and things like that aren't. So it's a great point, because I can see where there's going to be some gray area in this, because like you said, we've been really careful about that. So what I would do is, before you set up a text tree or a phone tree or anything like that, you get individual permission from that person first. Say, I would like to set up a text, you know, between our group. Would you like to be included on that text or no? If they say no, then you don't include them. Let them know what it's going to be. We're not going to send this to anybody outside of our open share group or of our step study. We're not going to put this anywhere or give it to anybody. We're going to protect our phones and do all of those things. I'm with you. I think that it can't, and that's kind of to your point.
But I don't think there would be sharing on this.
No sharing. It's not about sharing.
More like a prayer request.
Right. But
information about what was happening at Celebrate Recovery.
But back when I used to leave voicemails, you know, I don't leave voicemails anymore. I figure if I call you and you don't answer, you see that I called you, you call me back, right? When I used to leave voicemails, I'd be very careful about, before I left a voicemail to any Celebrate Recovery information in it, I would say to that person, hey, is it cool if I mention that I'm from Celebrate Recovery on a voicemail, or should I just say, it's Johnny, call me back, right? Because I didn't know if somebody was going to pick that phone up and listen to that message and go, wait, why is the guy from Celebrate Recovery calling you, right? So I think in the same way, you're right, over texting and emails, we're not sharing.
Right.
And that's real important. Thanks for bringing that up and to go here. We're not sharing. What we're doing is we're saying, how are you? And we're connecting that way. You need to talk. And I would think any talking is going to be done either in person or over the phone. By the way, it's just more personal that way.
Right.
We always say to not confront over email or text, but in the same way, we don't want to share that way. We want to connect with each other and say, I have a friend who every once in a while texts me, okay, I'm kind of struggling today. I never text him back. I call him back.
Right.
And so, but to your point, it is confusing, and I think we're kind of trying to figure out a way that we can all stay connected in the midst of this time. And so be careful, but don't get so I don't even know how to say it, legalistic or afraid that it stops you from reaching out to somebody who God might be putting on your heart. And so I would encourage you that if that's happening, to try to figure out a way to do that in a way that's safe.
You have to remember that somebody can pick up the phone and read another person's text. A kid, for example, can pick up your phone and read a text from somebody. So there's so many reasons why not just share.
Right.
But to keep keep people posted about, is Celebrate Recovery meeting that night?
Yeah.
Are there some prayer requests? Hey, a couple of us are going to have coffee. We're going to have a small group in our home. Would you like to come? Those kinds of things or what we're talking. We're talking about connection.
Right.
not
So
share.
to share, I would pick up the phone and call
Yes.
someone and do that over the phone. I would do that face to face if possible. Because remember, we're talking about, in all likelihood, a very short window where there aren't going to be groups.
Right.
We think for us, it's this week. It's one Friday night where there won't be groups. We're still planning on step studies meeting throughout the week here. We're still planning on next week having groups. So we're really talking about a short window. We're not talking about altering the way we do Celebrate Recovery from here on out.
Right.
We're talking about, in this emergency time, how to connect with each other
And keep it safe.
and keep it safe.
And
So
we're learning.
Yes.
Well, so if this
Yes.
happens again, we will now know how to do it.
right. So if I have a participant who says, Johnny, I can't come to Celebrate Recovery, my immune system is compromised, you better believe I'm going to be calling that person.
Yes.
We're not going to be doing the guidelines. We're not going to be doing sharing that way, but we're going to connect with each other. Is it the same thing as being an open share group? No. Is it better than nothing? Yes.
Absolutely.
Because we're talking about a short-term deal. We're talking about a week to 2, 3, maybe a month.
Because what we're just saying is stay connected.
We're saying
don't
stay
isolate.
connected. We're not saying replace Celebrate Recovery
No.
with this new way of doing things. We're talking about in this acute emergency, state of emergency place that we're in right now, reaching out to each other. We're talking about in this very small window, doing things in a way that allows you to make sure people in the community aren't hurting, that there's a safe place for them to go, even if that's through the phone. Then next week or in 2 weeks, whenever your Celebrate Recovery resumes, you're right back to doing things the same way.
Right.
This is an audible that we're calling for a very specific time in history. We're not suggesting that you
Change
keep
everything.
all these phone trees active and going afterwards. We're talking about a way to stay connected in the short term. So I hope that that's clear. Marty, what else? Because we were over our time, but I think we can go over our time tonight.
Okay.
This is kind of just off the topic. What is the best option for a Celebrate Recovery group that has lost all of their leaders of one gender? Is Life's Healing Choices a good option to keep the group going until God provides more leadership?
I think the best option is your state rep. What I would do is contact your state rep, tell them the situation, and go through it with them so that you have a chance to get together and really run through those different options, and they're going to help you with that.
The other thing is to really search your hearts and the hearts of everybody who was involved and find out why they left.
Yep.
Was it just they weren't the right person, they were called there by God, or was there something else going on?
Yep.
Because if there was, then the next person that comes, they might leave too. So, take a real good look, ask God to clarify it for you. And I think we better pray, Johnny. I don't want to.
And I
Yep.
would suggest that New Steps to Celebrate Recovery are something where you can find an evaluation sheet to help you do that, to figure out if we've lost. If we've lost.
Yeah. One more thing before you pray, I just want to say this. I want to remind us all that God is in control of this whole situation. Even though everything feels out of control, God's in control. And I think one thing that we want to keep in mind is He's in control of whether or not somebody comes to Celebrate Recovery. He's in control of all of our response. He's in control of all of this. And so I want to remind all of us that we're not in control. We can't control this. Right. We need to trust God. We need to trust each other. We need to have some faith that He is going to work in these situations, and He is going to provide a way for all of us. And we need to do our best to reach out to people who are hurting and provide a safe place and know that God's in control of all of this as we go.
Great.
Would you like to pray?
I would.
Great.
All right, let's pray. Dear God, we just thank you for this time together. We thank you that we have somebody who's not just what we call a higher power. We know our higher power, and it's Jesus Christ. And He died for our sins. He died for all of the junk in our lives. And God, I thank you for that. You are the power. You are the strength. You are the glory. And let us continue to praise you. Sometimes we can lose focus of that. Help us, bring us home to that, because that's what's going to get us through this. It's going to get us through this. It's going to get us through anything we face in life. Also, thank you for the people you've already placed in our paths people that we can call, people that we can pray with, people that we can just be real with. And we ask that you continue to do that and use us. Use us. We may not have, well, I don't have enough recovery for that, but you do. If you're doing something and you're growing in Christ and you're starting to truly work on your hurt, hang-ups, and habits, you can help somebody else, and you can help them tonight and tomorrow to say, use me, God, use me. And he can teach you along the way. Just, again, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for giving the vision of Celebrate Recovery. Thank you for all the people that have been helped. And I call on each and every one of them to give it back, continue to give it back, and help somebody new. God, I see this as an opportunity to bring more people to you. I see this as an opportunity to make more people free from their hurts, their hang-ups, and habits. Sometimes it takes something like this to really wake people up. And, you know, it's there. It's just doesn't have to be used as pain. It can be used for victory in people's lives. God, we give you the glory. We ask for protection. We ask for healing. And we ask for continued love from you. We never doubt that. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that you'll be with us next week as well. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you share it so other people can see it. And if you're watching it later on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and comment and all that good stuff as well. And stay tuned to Celebrate Recovery Official on Instagram and the Facebook page here for more information as it comes out.
But take a break once in a while.
That's true. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye.